I'm Jeff Brandis, and welcome to Heart and Mind Mondays, where we take the most challenging day of the week to set your heart and mind up for success. You know, the past few weeks, I've been talking about one of the keys that is strengthening the climb toward your success. And the key is inspired guidance. And for the past couple of weeks, you've listened to me talk about that. And one of them, as you know, is how much I love to study the masters. And one of the masters I love to study is John C. Maxwell. And I have many of his books in my home office on the shelf. And because of that, it thrills me today to introduce to you our guest of success, Mr. Albert Whitestone, who is a certified life and leadership coach with the John Maxwell team. Albert.
Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome to Heart and Mind Mondays.
Excited to be here.
What's neat here is we have several things in common. We like to talk about mindset. We like to talk about success. I think you even go in a different direction. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you like to talk about communication.
Correct. And
management, and not just of others, but self-management.
Exactly.
Leadership, and again, not just leadership for others, but self-leadership.
Exactly. It has to start there.
And of course, we also, on a side note, we also share a common love for fitness as well, which we may or may not touch base on today or not. But Albert, you know how much I love to teach mindset and success. The short amount of time we've had the pleasure to know each other, and I would love to know. I mean, I know my story and how passionate I am, but today's about you. And I would love to know how you got involved in life coaching and leadership coaching, and why is it a passion, and now it's a profession as well.
That's correct.
So go for it.
Well, we'll start with the life coaching. About 3 years ago, I ended up in the emergency room with my blood pressure at 208 over 128.
Wow.
As most of you know, that's not good. And that was a wake-up call for me. After getting out of the hospital, one of the first decisions I made was to join a local gym and also find a personal trainer. And then my wife, Leanne, became a certified health coach, so she taught us how to make better choices when it came to food. While I was working at the local gym here, the owner and my personal trainer asked me about whether I want to become a personal trainer, because I'm more mature in age than most trainers are. I'm seasoned, I guess you will put it.
You're one of the young ones.
No. And they thought, with me being in my 50s, that I would be able to relate to the more mature clientele that they had there.
Well, more so specifically with health issues.
That's correct.
Like with the blood pressure.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, with that, I thought about it and talked to Leanne, and I found a reputable company out there that offered their certification. I went through the certification process, took the exam, passed the exam, and then the local gym offered me a job as a certified personal trainer, and absolutely love it. Love working with the clients. But Jeff, one of the things I learned very early on with working with my clients is if I could not get them to change or see themselves different here, this wasn't going to change. And I would talk to them about making some changes in their life and how, if they would change their eating habits or making better choices with foods, that would help them lose the weight. And just as important, make them feel better. So I went out and said, okay, how can I better add value to my clients? Yes, I can teach them the routines. Yes, I can teach them the exercise program. But how can I get them to change their picture of themselves so everything else can change? So I went out and did some investigating, did some work, and looked into becoming a life coach, a certified life coach. At that time, John Maxwell was just starting a program where he wanted to offer people to join his team to become a life and leadership coach and to be able to refine your skills in speaking And I said, who a better person to team up with than somebody that, like John Maxwell, who's known all over the world and sold millions and millions of books.
I mean, talk about a seasoned veteran.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
That guy's been there and done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I went out and joined up with the John Maxwell team, went through their certification process, and now I am certified and out there helping individuals and businesses.
Wow. You know, it's funny what you just said about changing how people get to be successful is that you have to change the picture in your mind. And I remember when I was giving a talk to one of the first mastermind groups that I was in a few years ago, that and then I was just starting my in-home personal training business, and I've always taught fitness from the inside out. You know, it's not about the aesthetics. It's, you know, that comes as a result of doing the little things right. And when I was up there giving a talk, it just came so naturally that I said, fitness begins here and here. And ladies and gentlemen, that's when the heart and the mind of success was originally created for me, because that's how I taught fitness. So there's no coincidence that there is a similarity, there's a parallel here. And you took it a step further, talking about the vision, and I know how I like to help change people's lives is when it's how you view your own potential.
Exactly.
And once you realize where you are in that state of mind, that's when things can begin to take effect. So when you do take action, that's when real results can actually take place. Once we figure out how you view yourself. And I love that you said that, you know, how you picture yourself.
Exactly.
And that's just fabulous. So my next question was, I was going to say, let me hear about some struggles and challenges, but you mentioned one already. You know, your health challenge.
Right.
Let's talk specifically about you becoming an entrepreneur and you're creating this life and leadership coaching business. And now you're on your own, even though you're associated with the John Maxwell team,
Correct.
You're an independent coach.
Exactly right.
Struggles, challenges, roadblocks, obstacles, problems, anything that is in your heart and mind that sticks out more than others that you could share with the audience.
Right. I think society today, and usually sometimes that can be people that are real close to you, even family members, will tell you to go out and get that 9-to-5 job. That's where security is going out and getting that 9-to-5 job. I can personally tell you, I've been laid off twice, so I'm not sure how much security there is working for a company.
And I've been there and done that too. We mostly, you know, a lot of people have been what I like to call invited to leave their positions.
Yeah, as we were talking earlier. You know, and you can see where they're coming from. You understand, because that's how their parents and maybe their grandparents had shared with them. You go out, you get a good job, you go work for a local company, you put your 30 or 40 years in, and then you can retire. We don't have that luxury today. The economy's changing, the world's changing, and the way I looked at things, if I was going to struggle, it was going to be because of me. If I didn't have income, it was going to be because of me.
Okay.
I wasn't going to rely on a CEO for some company, whether I had income coming in tomorrow or not, or whether I had a job tonight. I wanted to create my own destiny. I was ready.
I'm fired up. You know, it's very interesting that you say that, you know, that you have an opportunity as an entrepreneur to control your destiny. You know, again, it's mindset. You know, that's where faith and belief come into play, because you could be the entrepreneur out there that is thinking the other side of the coin, and you're not sure if you're good enough, or do you measure up, do you have what it takes. Speaking of that, has there ever been a time where that you didn't think you were good enough to go on this journey, that you question whether you had what it takes to be successful as an independent coach and to be an entrepreneur?
This morning.
Okay, go ahead.
Really, you know, because sometimes those seeds of doubt will try to penetrate our mind and our beliefs, whether we are capable, qualified to be able to teach this material, whatever material that you're sharing with people, or whatever profession you're in. That's going to happen. The question is, Jeff, how long are you going to let it sit there? Are you going to dwell on it or think about it the entire day? I'm at a point now where I'm not going to tell you I never get that, but it doesn't stay there long. It's out the door.
It's funny that you say that too. These interviews, I love these interviews, by the way, and hopefully the audience out there, recognizes that as I've begun to create these interviews. But that reminds me of one of the bullet points I have, and one of the keys to strengthen the climb towards your success is, one of the keys is I have is positive thoughts equal positive results, and I have a bullet point in there that talks about the mindset shift, and I've nicknamed it flip the switch.
Yes.
You just talked about flip the switch. We all are going to experience negativity,
yes,
whether you're a master at your craft or not, and there will be some doubt, there will be questions, and what I like to help people is shorten the amount of time it takes them to go from negative to positive, and I call that, how fast can you flip the switch? So I love that you just said that. I'm tickled.
And one of the things that helps too, Jeff, is surrounding myself with people like you and other entrepreneurs that have that positive outlook on life, have that positive influence on people. You get around the negative people, that's what you're going to start thinking about. You just become part of your surroundings. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you hang around successful people. It's, the law of attraction.
They're successful for a reason.
Correct.
So that's why, again, I know people out there in the Heart and Mind of Success community probably get tired of me saying this. That's why I love to study the masters. And I always will be able to put my ego to the side and study people who have been there and done that. And then, of course, you take what you resonate from them and create your own little system or way of teaching and doing things. So.
I was always taught you don't want to be the expert in the room. Because you're
in the wrong room, right?
No, but you want to be around people that are smarter than you.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. If you're the expert in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Correct.
Right?
That's
maybe for a short while you're in the right room because you can motivate others, yes, but you want to strive to be in a room where everyone else is smart. I agree with that. So as we're talking about achieving success, that's a heavy word. At least I've experienced heaviness from it because I believe in my heart and soul that it takes accountability to be successful. Yes. It takes responsibility. I've thrown this out there in a couple blogs, and I've talked to many of my followers about it, that failure, there's no opposition to failure. Now, when you fail all the time, yes, it drains, it takes energy, it drains you, that kind of thing, it's hurtful, that kind of thing. But if you want to fail, you can quit anytime.
And unfortunately, many people do.
And I've always told people, if you want to be the best that you can be, there's always going to be a mountain to climb. So when you hear the word success, what do you think of? What comes to your mind?
Well, what comes to my mind now is how many failures they've had to get to success. Because you can rest assured they had many failures to get where they're at. History has proven that. And then a lot of people will come up and ask the definition, what is the definition of success? And a lot of people think it's just money. And we know people...
I've had people in interviews telling it's money.
It's money.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know people that are very wealthy but have a failing marriage. To me, that's not necessarily being successful. Yes, you have the money piece, but you don't have the marriage piece. Or maybe you have the money because you're working so hard and you're not able to take care of your health. Is that really success? So there is a balance there. Everybody's definition of success. And I like the balance. Yes, I like money, and that's, some people have a struggle with a Christian saying they like money, but I think money is a tool. So I think you need to be careful with that.
Let me interject there real quick.
Yes.
I battled with limiting beliefs with money. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the obstacles that I've overcome as an entrepreneur. And I have a really good relationship with money now, but don't take it in a negative way. A lot of people have a negative relationship with money. They assume rich people are mean or they're arrogant or those kind of things. I look at money and say, if I can make the most money I can, that means it's going to be easier for me to get my message out there. I'm, like you said, a tool that it's.
It helps other people. It really does. money is a tool, and you can do a lot with money. But again, it depends on what your motivation is as far as money. You know, I like money because then it allows me to help, to be able to tithe more to my church, or to be able to write a check to a family that's in need, knowing that their car is going to be revisited.
What a feeling that is.
It is. They don't even need to know where it's coming from. And going back to the money, you know, I've heard it said that people will set their goals on how much money they want to make that year based on how much they want to give that year. So that's how they determine, if I'm going to give this much this year in 2013, I know that I need to bring in this much income. And what a better way to serve your community.
So it starts there in your heart,
Yes.
It starts with the concept of giving.
Yes.
Before you're getting. I know when I remember being in B&I, they talk about their mantra there is giver's gain. Yeah. And that's just along those lines.
Well, and you probably know too, Jeff, if you're not making enough money, it's probably because you're not serving enough people.
Amen, right? Money also, I feel it brings opportunity and it brings freedom. I know when I'm making money and bills are taken care of, all the basics are taken care of, that means I can focus on my mission. Because I've been there, and where the only thing I'm focusing on is, well, which bill am I not, which bill is okay not to pay this month? And when you're there, you're sick to your stomach, and it's stressful, and it's no fun.
And when you're in that situation, how can you think about helping other people?
You know why? What you focus on in life,
exactly,
you tend to attract in life. So
I
cut you off.
And we probably been taught the same thing. You don't focus on the debt. You have to take care of the debt. And we have a visitor. Come on, Sammy.
That's okay.
You don't want to focus on the debt. You want to focus on your income potential. And if you focus on your income potential, the debt will take care of itself. We'll have the means to pay that off.
Yeah, and even take it a step further, if you're focusing on your passion, everything will take care of itself. Yes. When your mind is set on, well, I'm going to serve clients, I have a mission to take care of people and help them grow and be the best that they can be. When your focus is there, everything else kind of falls into place. Yes. It takes faith, and it takes persistence, and it takes patience and perseverance. All those qualities when you are in a struggling mindset. So we're kind of bouncing around here, so forgive us, but hopefully you're kind of keeping up with it and taking a lot out of this, because this is really good material.
And hopefully they can feel our excitement about this topic. How energized we both are about helping and serving people.
You're doing a lot of good things. So, what is your future vision of your coaching and your serving and you living your life mission? Do you have that vision, like a 3 to 5 year kind of, this is where I see myself, or are you content with doing what you're doing now and you're loving it and so forth? Do you have that future vision?
I do. The personal coaching, I enjoy getting out in front and talking to people. But what really gets me energized is when I'm sitting across the table from an individual client or a prospect and believing in them more than what they believe in themselves, and just see that they have hope again. They're not stuck in that Groundhog Day the movie that we're all familiar with, and say, life doesn't have to be like this. I don't have to go through these challenges. That's what I prefer. But to me, to be able to reach the larger audience, it's going to be, doing what we're planning, the event that we're planning on doing in the fall of this year, to be able to reach many, many people. So I see us doing that. We kind of joked about it last Thursday, but about taking this message around all over the country, and who knows, maybe even all around the world. And as far as leadership, it's just really developing leaders. As we know, everything rises and falls with leadership, everything. And just to develop leaders so that that they would have a more successful company, or even if it comes down to our local or state or nation as far as the government goes, is to continue to build leaders that can be out in front and lead this nation or lead our house.
Let me piggyback on that,
Sure.
and let's take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a good transition. Tell the audience who your ideal client is. What type of person do you love to help? And they might be out there watching this video, so we want to capture their attention if we can. Tell people who you love to work with, how you work with them, and maybe then how they can get in touch with you, all your different contacts.
Right. So as far as the life coaching goes, I thoroughly enjoy, like you talked about, doing the one-on-ones, is to be able to sit down across the table. The first time we meet, it's free. So they get to know me and I get to know them, and to make sure this program is going to work. And usually it's about a 6-month program that I work with them. After that, they should be able to get on their own. And if I do my job correctly, they should be able to move forward, and they should be able to wean away from me.
Okay.
They always want to be around people that are successful, as we talked about earlier, because you never want to lose that. Whether it's joining a mastermind group to continue to help you, share ideas, I think that's critical. As far as businesses goes, I love working with business owners, CEOs, C-level management, or new managers to help them take their organization where they want to go. And I do that with a 10-minute briefing. I'll do lunch and learn, where I'll come into a corporation. They buy the pizza or the subs. I'll come in with my material. We'll talk about 45 minutes on leadership. I also do workshops. They can be half-day seminars, half-day seminars, full-day seminars. I'm currently getting ready to start an 8-week mastermind group. One will be starting here in Hanover in May, beginning of May. That'll be based on John Maxwell's 21-year Refutable Laws of Leadership. And then on Thursday nights, I'll be doing the same study down in Greenmount, Maryland, which is near the Manchester, Hampstead, Maryland area. But those are the type of people that I look for, people that are looking to improve their leadership skills. And I have people that would give testimonies about the benefits they have received by going through some of my training.
And you talk about working with people for 6 months, like one-on-one clients.
That's correct.
Do you just have the one 6-month program offer, or do you have different program offers?
I have different programs.
No,
with the life coaching, I have different programs.
Okay.
Yes, with the life coaching, I do. It seems like the 6 months is the most popular one. I meet with the client twice a month for about 90 minutes, and we do that for 6 months. And the weeks that we're not doing the
That's in person.
That's in person. Then the weeks that we're not in person, it's a phone call, and usually we try to do that about 15 or 20 minutes just to kind of have a checkup.
If someone's watching where they're out, further than an hour away from you, can you coach them purely all over the phone?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Or we can do a webcam, or depending on what the requirements or the needs are, absolutely.
That's a lot of stuff. Now,
I just enjoy serving people and helping people.
Someone out there is watching this video that wants to be a life coach, maybe even take it further into leadership coaching like you. Any words of wisdom for them? So this is not necessarily, it could be, in a way it's kind of funny, that could be a client in itself.
Correct.
But I'm kind of not looking at it in that angle, but you could, any words of wisdom maybe to quick direction to do this or that, to just get moving, take action, that kind of thing, get your career started?
And that's a great question. I would have them get in contact with me, and that way I can kind of, provide some guidance on what direction they would go. As far as an organization goes, I'm going to have to be biased here. John Maxwell, I would have to recommend that organization, the John Maxwell team. I'll be going back down. I stay in touch with them. I'm part of their mentorship program, so I'm always learning from the best. I will continue to learn from the best. Because if I can't keep learning and keep growing, I'll be able to add value to my clients. If I kind of flatline, I'm not going to be able to add value to them. But again, as far as who to go with, I would go out, search, find a reputable company, get some references. So if it is another company, make sure you talk to people that have gone through their program. But again, being biased, I would go with the John Maxwell team.
John C. Maxwell.
Yes,
I love saying the city.
Yes.
I've been reading his books for for a long time, and definitely one of the masters that I enjoy studying. If it is your desire to be the best that you can be, and realize that you can be your best now, Albert Whitestone, certified life and leadership coach with the John Maxwell team. Oh, before I wrap it up, I almost forgot, website.
AlbertWhitestone.com.
There you have it, albertwhitestone.com. Visit it, soak it up, feel the energy, and move forward and take action to live your best life. To the heart and mind of your success, I can't wait to see you next Monday.